Welcome back to Doomsday Prepper, your ultimate survival resource. If you're serious about staying informed in a world full of uncertainties, subscribe now and join our community of prepared minds. Today, we explore a seismic geopolitical shift, the collapse of Syria's Assad Dynasty after 50 years of rule, and what this means for the volatile Middle East. We'll also dive into the activities of Hassan Abdul Ghani and his connections to Al-Qaeda, the end of the Assad Dynasty. For half a century, the Assad family has dominated Syria. Hafez al-Assad rose to power in 1971 through a military coup, creating a regime characterized by authoritarian control, brutal repression, and strong alliances with Iran and Russia. His son, Bashar al-Assad, inherited the presidency in 2000, initially presenting himself as a reformist before cracking down on dissent during Syria's civil war. The Assad dynasty's grip on power seemed unshakable, surviving waves of protest during the Arab Spring, a brutal civil war, and the rise of ISIS. But recent developments indicate the regime is crumbling under the weight of economic collapse, internal dissent, and mounting external pressures. The country's economy is in freefall, worsened by corruption, sanctions, and the destruction of infrastructure during the war. Basic necessities, including food, fuel, and medicine, are increasingly scarce. Protests have erupted even in regime strongholds like Latakia and Suaida, signaling a loss of support from key constituencies. Externally, Assad's traditional allies, Russia and Iran, are facing their challenges. Russia is bogged down in Ukraine, while Iran grapples with domestic unrest and international sanctions. Meanwhile, Turkey and Saudi Arabia are ramping up efforts to influence Syria's future. The collapse of the Assad dynasty could lead to the most significant power vacuum in the Middle East since the fall of Saddam Hussein in Iraq. The rise of extremism. One of the greatest threats in a post-Assad Syria is the resurgence of extremist groups. Among the key players in this landscape is Hassan Abdul Ghani, a figure linked to Al-Qaeda. While Abdul Ghani operates in Syria, his actions resemble those of Abu Hafs al-Najdi, a senior Al-Qaeda leader who was killed in Afghanistan in 2011. Abu Hafs al-Najdi was instrumental in training fighters, planning suicide bombings, and managing the flow of funds between Pakistan-based Al-Qaeda leaders and Afghan insurgents. His death dealt a significant blow to the group's operations. Hassan Abdul Ghani, while distinct from Abu Hafs, mirrors his methods. Reports suggest Abdul Ghani has been active in recruiting fighters, facilitating financial transactions, and coordinating attacks. In a fragmented Syria, figures like him thrive, exploiting the chaos to expand their influence and destabilize the region further. The broader implications. The fall of the Assad regime is not just a Syrian issue. It has ripple effects across the entire Middle East. Power vacuum. The absence of a centralized government could lead to violent competition among various factions, including rebel groups, remnants of Assad's regime, and extremist organizations like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Proxy wars. Regional powers such as Turkey, Iran, and Saudi Arabia are likely to intensify their involvement in Syria, turning the country into a battlefield for competing interests. Humanitarian disaster. Millions of Syrians are already displaced, and the collapse of Assad's government could worsen the humanitarian crisis. Refugee flows could increase, straining neighboring countries like Jordan, Lebanon, and Turkey. Terrorist safe havens. Extremist groups like Al-Qaeda thrive in ungoverned spaces. Figures like Hassan Abdul Ghani are poised to expand their influence, turning parts of Syria into terrorist safe havens akin to Afghanistan before 9/11. Impact on global stability. The Middle East is a linchpin of global energy markets and trade. Prolonged instability in Syria could disrupt oil prices, supply chains, and international security. Lessons for preppers. For preppers, Syria's situation underscores the importance of staying prepared for political and social instability. Here are some actionable lessons. Stay informed. Geopolitical events can have far-reaching consequences. A crisis in the Middle East can impact global energy prices, food supplies, and financial markets. Stay informed by following reliable news sources and geopolitical analysis. Diversify resources. Political instability often leads to supply chain disruptions. Ensure your stockpile includes diverse resources, fuel alternatives, non-perishable food, and emergency medicine. Prepare for displacement. If you live in an area prone to political unrest or natural disasters, have a comprehensive bug-out plan. Map out escape routes, identify safe zones, and maintain a go bag with essential supplies. Understand extremist threats. Extremist groups often exploit chaos to expand their operations. Learn how such groups operate and stay vigilant in recognizing signs of radicalization or potential attacks in your area. Build local alliances. In times of crisis, community networks can be a lifeline. Build relationships with neighbors and local groups to share resources, knowledge, and support. Syria and the Middle East. A precedent for global instability. The collapse of the Assad regime is a cautionary tale for governments and preppers alike. It shows how economic hardship, corruption, and external pressures can bring even the most entrenched regimes to their knees. For preppers, it's a reminder that instability can arise anywhere, even in seemingly stable regions. The lessons learned from Syria apply globally, whether you're preparing for political upheaval, natural disasters, or economic collapse. The end of Syria's Assad Dynasty marks a turning point for the Middle East. While it offers hope for change, it also poses significant risks, from regional power struggles to the resurgence of extremist networks led by figures like Hassan Abdul Ghani. As preppers, staying informed and prepared is our best defense against an uncertain world. Whether it's understanding global events or building a resilient community, every step counts towards survival. If you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Join us for more insights and tips to stay prepared in an ever-changing world. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and remember, knowledge is survival.